we have the tweets for the Baltimore Ravens wide receivers. Obviously, the first one we all know happened during the season. That was with Marquise Brown, aka Hollywood, where he stated that, and he didn't say to who he was talking about, but we all know, especially Ravens fans, we all know who he was talking about. Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator, he said, "What's the point of having soldiers if you're not going to use them?" That may not be word for word for what he said, but that's how it started. Then off season comes. Most recently, um, Willie Snead had put up a tweet, and I'm not a Twitter account holder or anything like that. I don't go on Twitter, but these are things I just seen. Um, Willie Snead said, "Anyone could be a true number one wide receiver if they're in a system that allows them to be. What they do after that is on them." 100 RNS. Real ninja stuff. Okay, that's what that is. Just in case you don't know. And then the most recent tweet is by Des Bryant, who is now a free agent, does not want to come back to the Ravens, but he said that Ravens weren't a good fit for him in response to Willie Snead, which, again, another shot to offensive coordinator Greg Roman. There's been other reports and other things that Des Bryant has said since his showing his desire of not to come back to the Raiders, publicly defending Lamar Jackson, saying that Lamar is a great quarterback. He can make all the throws, and just kind of directing without really saying, but directing shots. Been a lot of shots been fired at Greg Roman this offseason. So
Zero.
Yeah, zero, as we say in Baltimore. But yeah, with that being said, what's y'all takes on that?
I love it.
He did.
I was like, go ahead, Trey. Go ahead.
Nobody want to be there, huh?
It's not about being there offensively, maybe as a receiver. Defensively and all that.
We have no receivers in that season because we're not gonna get the ball anyway. We don't throw the ball. They don't pass in Baltimore, so who cares?
Whoa! They do. Just Mark Andrews.
Oh, you're right. Okay. Only tight ends only. Yeah.
There you go.
Tight ends and running backs.
But in all seriousness, though, that was kind of like an interesting, I guess, point that Willie Snead made. I want to say because it's kind of true. Like we have this thing where we talk about true one, like this person's not a one or this person's not a two, like Juju Smith-Schuster, for example. You know, it's been a lot of talk that he's not a number one receiver. He can't be the number one receiver and all this jazz. Uh-huh. Now, then let's go over to Buffalo before they got the trade for Stephon Diggs. Last year, John Brown was the one and Beasley was there too, which we all know Beasley is really like a slot receiver or majority of his career, but he had to play the role of a two. And John Brown, I don't think he's a one. I don't think he's ever been one at any point in his career. But based on certain teams or where you're at, like if you're the best option, essentially you do become the one receiver in certain aspects. So I kind of get what Willie Snead said, but I think that was more so him just saying, kind of like all the talk that I've been saying for like the last 3 years, telling you, Vic, that you guys need a real receiver. Willie Snead more so saying like he could have been that, I guess, or believe in his talents that he could have been a number one receiver, but I guess he didn't get the opportunities that he feels he should have or were deserved. And I did see the tweet from Des Bryant actually where he said he actually wants to play 2 more seasons, but it definitely won't be anymore. So
yeah.
So I mean, y'all got rid of the Texans' new head coach, which was your wide receiver. So maybe that'll help part of it. Maybe it wasn't Giro. Maybe it was just this guy who has a bad track record of teams he's been on as a wide receiver coach. See the Chiefs.
David Culley.
Yeah, see the Chiefs about 4 or 5 years ago when they went a whole season without any receiving touchdowns.
Yep.
Well, for wide receivers, I'm sorry, because
Yeah.
again, tight ends got the ball, which is kind of
Yeah.
similar to what you guys do. So it might not be G-Row, but hopefully it is. But you know, that's just for personal reasons though. But now this kind of has me thinking that with 3 different receivers coming out and saying something like this, how are you guys going to get a receiver, I guess, in free agency to want to come to Baltimore? The destination doesn't look as good now. If I'm a receiver, you would think you have the opportunity to come there and be the one receiver, like, because they need one. But if I'm not going to get the ball, I might as well go somewhere else. So y'all best bet might be through the draft, actually, versus I think it'd be kind of hard to sway a free agent to come over there with all that stuff y'all got going on in that receivers room.
That is true.
But Spence,
trouble on Paradise Island. Man. Well, I hope it's fixed because man, that season, like you said, off season's coming up, and there's a lot of like top, not really like huge top free agency for wide. I mean, other than Juju that I heard of. Once I get the full list, it's like, okay, I know Kenny Galladay, he's a free agent. So I know, like, you know, everybody thinking like, hey man, he needs to be a one, he could be a one somewhere that can have like a potential. And Ravens was on my list. Like, man, he can go there, man. He can be a one. He can do it. It's just that he just needed a team just able to get to even see playoffs, to even touch it. But with this going on, if I'm him, I'm like, I don't know, man. I get the ball in Detroit enough, so why would I go somewhere else and I'm not getting the ball? So hopefully they can fix that because that is a huge problem. Like you said, since their wide receiving coach is now a head coach for the Texans, which is going to be extremely weird. Maybe that's fixed, but if not, man, doesn't look good for the home team, Vick. Doesn't look good.
No, it's great. They're one dimensional. We know that already. Perfect. Just worry about the run. That's it.
I mean, of course you are happy about this.
I
love it. D Wade, I love it.
Well, so to me, this is something that, hey, you know, we all have known about the offense as far as people that follow the Ravens. They have a history of not having a offensive team that is ran through the receiving area. More so, it's typically the run game and defense is pretty much what Baltimore is known for. Obviously, Trayy hinted towards David Culley being the new head coach for the Texans and the track record that David Culley has on teams that he has coached. He was our passing game coordinator. So that was I guess that was just more of the emphasis on what he likes to do, what his preferred targets is running backs and tight end. We did hire 2 new coaches, a new passing game coordinator, and I forgot what the other one was. But so hopefully the new guys, they can both contribute and help out. But going back to the topic at hand, I'm definitely happy to hear that they're both voicing their opinion. Well, all 3 of them are voicing their opinions. Obviously, basically putting Giro on the spotlight to basically evolve the offense, get the receivers more involved, not having it so predictable. Since he's pretty much the run game coordinator, he handles all the run game stuff. So hopefully they can be a little bit more creative and they can, run screens, jet sweeps, just have design plays to where it can, like Willie Snead's comment goes to, talking about anybody can be a number one receiver in a system that allows them to be that. It's just up to the receiver to produce at that point. So I agree completely about the comment. Not everybody can be a number one, but there's systems that allow players to be that receiver. It's just up to them to produce. So hopefully that can happen, and this would put a more of an emphasis on Greg Roman to make this happen. So that's all that I have to say about that. I think that's a good thing. It's just like with any issue in your household, if it's not discussed, it's just going to continue to happen. But the moment that it is discussed and players voice their opinions, people voice their opinions about it, and it's more than just one person, especially since Des Bryant was the outsider coming in at the latter part of the season, I think this could be a good thing for the Ravens. But again,
no, I
to be determined.
Be like the Texans.
Nah, it's not going to be like
passing
that.
game is fine.
No, it's not going to be like that. So
our passing game is fine. That we're not anybody.
But
you know
from
what?
a,
you know what though? Lamar Jackson hasn't been re-signed yet, so if it's not something that gets fixed, he could potentially not want to resign with y'all.
Well, for one, they have both discussed that they are interested in, but obviously we all know this, that people could say that they're interested in signing back with one another, or the player could say that I want to stay here. The coach could say I want him to stay here, but they could have a disagreement. Obviously, there's a franchise tag, two of them to say, but hopefully it only gets to one. If it gets to one, hopefully it's not, but there has been talks. It's been healthy. It hasn't been anything negative. But the only thing about that is depending on what Lamar does this season could dictate in terms of if he should get top dollar or if, like saying like above Deshaun Watson or more than Patrick Mahomes or whatever the case is. It's just however they view it. Obviously,
y'all got to win the Super Bowl this year if you want to get more than Mahomes.
Yeah, that definitely.
Yeah, I mean, he got the MVP already, so.
I mean, not necessarily because we've seen Kirk Cousins, but regardless of the fact, it's just this is going to be a big season for Lamar in order to solidify in terms of what kind of money, guaranteed, just the dollar figure of like what he's going to get annually. So. Still to be determined, so we'll see how that goes. But I got faith that the Ravens will get it done.
I don't.
And that's fine. That's fine. The Ravens typically don't invest into the offense, but they invest into the defense. Letting go of Mark Ingram. Basically, they don't have any real big dollar signs invested into the offense. It should be able to help. I mean, offensively, and plus, we still got the right tackle, Orlando Brown Jr. to possibly trade, get draft picks. I'm sure they're going to work things out. They're going to make it just fine. So we'll see.
Humbling, Spence. Do you see that?
But
hey,
I'm always be there. I'm a humble guy, regardless. Like,
wait, what happened?
No one wants to be there. Do you hear this?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
it's not about nobody wanting to be
there.
You're taking things.
It's a cesspool in Baltimore. Nobody wants to be there.
You're taking things out of context right there, my friend.
I'm about to start a hashtag. Let's get this trending.
It's not gonna be a trend.
Freedom Boys in Baltimore.
Let's get them
banned.
It's gonna start and end. It's gonna start and end with that post that you make. No comment. Like that's it.
Death to the Ratbirds.
It ain't gonna happen, but it's a dream. It's a dream if you
Anyway.
can. But from one from one great organization.
One bag. Yeah, you said it right. One bag organization. Yeah. Perfect.
I was gonna say one bad organization from the Phillies to the Baltimore Ravens being a great organization, but we'll go from one great organization to a bad organization with a lot of new faces, changes. We will be talking about the New York Jets, their state, and what they should be doing forward.